Broken Heart title, When Trust Breaks. The city lights were fading behind him as Arjun drove through the rain, the wipers struggling to keep up with his thoughts. His hands gripped the steering wheel, not because of the cold, but because of the storm inside him. He never thought love could hurt this much. For 3 years, he had loved Maya, loved her with a kind of purity he didn't even know he was capable of. She was his calm in chaos, his laughter after long work days, his one reason to believe that the world wasn't as cruel as it seemed. Until last night. He had gone to surprise her. It was her birthday. He had planned the perfect evening, candles, flowers, a handwritten letter, and a small diamond ring he had been saving for. He imagined her smile, the way she would jump into his arms, and maybe even cry a little when he'd tell her, "You're the one I want to spend my life with." But when he opened the door to her apartment, the surprise was his. Maya wasn't alone. There was another man sitting on the couch laughing with her, holding the same hands Arjun once thought were his forever. For a moment, time froze. The flowers fell from his hand. The room was silent, except for the breaking sound of his own heart. He didn't shout. He didn't ask why. He just left. Sometimes, silence screams louder than words ever can. The next morning, he sat by the sea, the same spot where they had once written their names in the sand. The waves had washed those names away long ago, and now, he understood why. His phone buzzed. It was Maya. "Maya, Arjun, please, can we talk?" He didn't want to, but something inside him, maybe love, maybe hope, made him say yes. When she arrived, her eyes were swollen, her hair messy, and she looked guilty. Maya, it wasn't what it looked like. Arjun gave a bitter smile. Then what was it? Maya, tell me something that'll make me believe you again. She hesitated. He's just a friend. I was upset about us. You've been distant lately, busy all the time. I needed someone to talk to. I didn't mean to hurt you. He looked at her, his chest tightening. You needed someone to talk to, and you chose him over me. She said nothing. The silence was heavier than any argument. Arjun stood up. You know, Maya, love isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, especially when it's hard. I trusted you with everything I had. And now, I don't even know what's real anymore. Tears streamed down her face. I made a mistake, Arjun. Please, don't walk away. He wanted to forgive her, God, he really did. But something deep inside told him that trust, once broken, doesn't heal easily. He left again, this time for good. Weeks passed. The days were long, the nights even longer. Every corner of his house still whispered her name. Every song on the radio felt like a wound that refused to close. His friends told him to move on. You deserve better, they said. But Arjun didn't want better. He wanted her, or at least, the version of her he used to believe in. One evening, while scrolling through old photos, he saw one from their first trip together, her arms wrapped around him, both laughing like they had forever ahead of them. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. Maybe love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes, it means learning to let go. Months later, Arjun was walking home from work when he saw her again, Maya, standing by the bookstore they used to visit. She looked the same, yet different. There was a quiet sadness in her eyes, but also peace. They both froze for a second. Then, she smiled gently. Maya, You look good. Arjun, you too. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of everything they once were. They talked about life, about work, about how time changes people. There was no anger, no blame. Just two hearts that had finally learned to forgive not each other, but themselves. Before leaving, Maya said softly, "I still think about us sometimes." Arjun nodded. Me too. But I think we were meant to teach each other something, not to end up together. She smiled through a tear. Maybe you're right. He watched her walk away, the wind playing with her hair, and for the first time, he felt free. He realized that disappointment doesn't mean the love was fake. Sometimes, it just means that people grow in different directions. And maybe that's okay. That night, he stood by his window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere, someone new was waiting for him, someone who would understand his silence, his scars, his way of loving. He whispered to himself, "Next time, I'll love again, but I'll love wiser." And in that moment, he knew the pain had finally done its job. It had made him stronger. Love doesn't always end with a perfect story. Sometimes, it ends with self-respect. Sometimes, it ends with peace. And that is also love. Red Heart. Clapperboard, if you felt this story, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and most importantly subscribe for the next story. Because sometimes, the next chapter is even more beautiful than the last.